Right, this video is intended as a supplement to the full review I posted a couple of weeks ago on the Tiger 900 GT Pro. Now, I don't normally blow my own trumpet like this, but as Triumph lent me that bike for 4 days, I was able to do a good, in-depth review that's well worth watching if you're thinking of getting the new Tiger 900. Link in the top right now and in the description. Now, in terms of the engine, gearbox, brakes, as well as the basic chassis, seat, TFT screen, and overall design, of course, the Rally is very similar. But the differences with the GT are just big enough to tip me in favour of this more off-road capable version, even though I rarely venture off-road. Right, so as I mentioned, I had the GT Pro version on loan for a few days a couple of weeks ago, and I liked it a lot. It's a nicer bike than my 2023 Transalp in just about every way. It's more powerful, more comfortable, it's got better brakes, more features, a better display, better handling, but it was pretty hopeless when I took it off-road briefly, and the relative, I emphasise the word relative, lack of legroom meant it couldn't quite knock my Honda off the podium. So I was very keen to try this Rally Pro version, which differs from the GT mainly in its longer travel manually adjustable suspension and larger 21-inch front wheel. I know a lot of people don't like the idea of a 21, but it's very nice off-road or on uneven road surfaces, as it tends to glide over bumps and holes rather than rolling into them. Turn-in can admittedly be a bit more lethargic, but the trade-off is greater stability and sometimes greater comfort, and I've got used to having a 21-inch on the Transalp, and I can honestly say that I actually now prefer it over a 19, at least on an adventure bike. Now, hands up, I only had this Rally Pro version for a couple of hours, and there wasn't anywhere suitable to try it off-road, but just riding it around Vila Moura here in southern Portugal, I could feel that it rectified the handful of negative issues I'd highlighted with the GT Pro. I'm 6'2", about 187 centimetres tall, which means that the majority of motorbikes are just too small for me. I don't mind on shorter rides, say a couple of hours maximum, and I do enjoy my Speed Twin, even though technically it's way too small for me. But longer trips, two-up riding and touring, I like to stretch out a bit. And the Rally Pro allows me to do just that, at least with the seat in its high position. Triumph Algarve always leave their demo bikes in the lowest possible setting because the Portuguese are short, their words not mine. So for the first few kilometres, the seat on this Rally Pro was set in its lower position of 860mm, but I stopped to raise it to its higher 880mm position, and it was a revelation. At last, a bike that's the right size for me. The fairly narrow seat means I can still just flat foot both feet, which is nice, but once on the go, the Rally gives me the legroom that I was missing with the GT. And perhaps more importantly, it means I now dominate the bike a bit more. Sitting high means I can get more of my weight over the front end, improving the handling and going some way to negating that big front wheel. It certainly felt more like a 19 once the seat was higher. Despite having manual adjustment only, the suspension also seems more expensive, plusher, more comfortable than the GT Pros, and the handling is really very good for such a big, tall bike. Jumping back on my Speed Twin for the ride home reminded me just how much fun a small bike can be, but the Rally Pro would definitely be my machine of choice for anything but the shortest of rides. The brakes are identical to those on the GT Pro, over-the-top Brembo stylemas. Now, I don't want to be cynical here, I mean I'll take the stylemas of course, but putting super sports brakes on a mid-size adventure bike and then pairing them with a mid-spec master cylinder which dials back the effectiveness seems more like a marketing exercise than anything else. The new 12-inch screen has been lifted from the Tiger 1200 and does look nice at first glance, and it's legible enough, but it's really, really slow to boot up. And the menus aren't very intuitive, and I don't particularly like the stalk joystick control in the left-hand switchgear. It's not especially comfortable to use, and I keep having to look down to remember which is the menu joystick and which is the indicator switch. Bit of a first world problem. I suppose I'd no doubt quickly get used to it. if I own the bike, and the controls are all backlit. Night riding is further helped by the excellent headlights. I didn't have the standard auxiliary lights on here, but even with just the main lights, were in a different league to the weedy little light at the front of the Transalp. There's a tiny amount of space under the seat with the tool bag up front. You could relocate this if you put luggage on, I suppose, and a compartment for your phone at the back. The riders' and passengers' seats are individually heated on the Pro versions of both the GT and the Rally. Is it good enough to tempt me into selling the Transalp? Yes, definitely. I think I've found my next bike, especially as the 2024 Tiger 1200 that they announced a couple of days ago isn't getting a major power hike. The 900 is significantly and quantifiably more premium feeling than the Honda in just about every way. I was walking around my Transalp this morning in the garage looking at it, trying to think of anything that it could do better than the Tiger. And I could only come up with two things. It's got gold rims, which look nicer in my opinion, and has slightly better fuel economy. In every other way, the Tiger is nicer, and in my opinion, it sets the gold standard in the mid-size adventure bike category. And I hear you cry, so it should, given the price. Yep, depending on which paint scheme you go for, the Tiger 900 Rally Pro retails here in Portugal at about 17,500 euros. Add on the various on-the-road fees, plus the new SW Motec luggage racks I'd have to get, and I'd be looking at the thick end of 19,000 euros, which is quite a lot for any motorbike, let alone a 108 horsepower 900cc. Crucially, 19,000 euros is about double what I could expect to get for my 9-month-old Transalp. The Rally Pro is top of my next bike list, but at the moment I just don't feel comfortable shelling out another 9 or 10 grand on a motorbike, so I'll be sensible for once and bide my time. Also, for the sake of completeness, I would still like to try the Suzuki GSX S1000 GX, I think I said that right, and the Moto Guzzi Stelvio over the next few weeks, so I'm in no rush. Anyway, that's it for this short update video. I'd be interested to hear from you if you've ridden both the Rally Pro and GT Pro to see which one you prefer and why. And in the meantime, thanks for watching.